This video is actually a little bit bittersweet because I think that I have the world record of round 128 on Liberty Falls right now, but I thought I could have gone so much further, and I think I'm going to run this game back after I go for a terminus world record gameplay tomorrow. So if you're not familiar with this game at all and you haven't watched my main channel, basically I went for a round 100 game pretty much right away when Liberty Falls came out in New Zealand, and I was grinding all day trying to do it. I had a round 50 game in my first game, then I had a round 70 game, and then this was my third match that I played. And because the augment system is really kind of weird and you have to go and play like dozens of games to actually start upgrading anything, I pretty much didn't have any augments upgraded unless I think that stamina up had something added on too where I don't take fall damage on it, but I think that was pretty much it. Pretty much right away what I wanted to do was keep one of the spawn doors closed, the one on the left that's right under the little hotel, and then just open up all the way on the right and go through that side of the map. And I just wanted to, pretty much I was so frustrated with my first couple of games, I went and just speed ran through this whole thing. I actually got the ray gun, and I didn't even really try to get the jet gun. I went and gave it one shot using a gobble gun where it would give me a guaranteed wonder weapon, but instead of giving me the jet gun, it gave me another ray gun. A little bit of a heartbreaker, but it is what it is. I personally run the ray gun because I think that it's the much better option to use when going for high rounds, because the jet gun is really big and bulky and kind of slow, and especially when you're using the mode that fires out all of the shots at once and it knocks everything over, I think that that's really kind of detrimental in a fast-paced environment, like especially when you've got the super sprinters and you've got all the manglers coming at you. It really is just not very bueno. So I made the conscious decision just to use the ray gun for the game, and once I started to get to like round 40-ish, this was when I started to use the traps on the map, which are actually really good. If you haven't tried them out yet, absolutely would 100% recommend if you're going to do a high round for this map. It is just absolutely necessary because, like I said, there's so many manglers and pretty much nothing does any damage. Even the ray gun doesn't do very much after a while. The jet gun's probably the only thing, and I already explained why I'm not using it. The best thing that you can really do is just train around this one little circle that the trap creates, and then just go around on these cars and the zombies can't really get to you. The trap will kill them and it'll get some of the manglers, it'll do some chip damage to them, but just finish them off with the ray gun if you really can, maybe until around 60 or 70, because the health actually continues to go up on the bosses infinitely. It doesn't increase by very much every round, but it does still continue to go up, even all the way up until 128. Like seriously, you guys are gonna see later on that the abomination was so crazy to have to kill. Then once that trap in the spawn room was done, I would make my way over past a crafting table and then up the area near where Speed Cola is, going up the hill. Turn on the trap over there, and there's going to be 3 little circles that also come from there. Zombies will get kind of trapped in all of them, and there's actually a mangler spawn that's in the middle one, so it's good to do a little bit of chip damage. It can get really sketchy, especially later on with the super sprinters. It's probably my least favorite of the 2 traps. This entire map kind of makes you just clench so much because, especially with not being super familiar with it and it's still technically being day 1, you just don't have the familiarity and you're really not sure whether zombies can hit you or not, and it really is just such a nerve-wracking time. But my strategy pretty much continued on like that for a really long time. It actually got me up to round 100, and then things actually changed. So before round 100, I think that the zombies were dealing 42 damage if you had full armor. But now with full armor, they're dealing 53 damage to you. And the way the armor works in this game is that it's a damage reduction, so the less armor that you have, the more damage that they do. It's not like it was in Cold War where it would just straight up absorb pretty much all of the damage for you. It's just a damage reduction, so it's kind of a little bit of a new way to work around things, and you have to kind of keep that in the back of your head. But if for whatever reason you had 1 bar of armor, you had 2, you're going to be taking more than that 53 health of damage, and you only have 250 right now. At least I think that there is a augment, that's what they're called. I couldn't really think of it for a second, but so there's an augment, I think that increases your health by 100, but I don't have that unlocked right now, obviously. So basically, you're going to be taking a ton of damage, and I think that you're basically usually a 3 or a 4 hit down with Juggernog and all your perks. It's really not a great situation to be in past round 100, and basically really the only way to mitigate that is to have to use score streaks to get out of dodge whenever possible. So you want to use the Hellstorm missile because you'll go into it and you'll have a bunch of invincibility frames, and the zombies won't go after you until you've actually come out of it. Same thing with the Chopper Gunner. The Chopper Gunner is better than the Hellstorm because it can kill a decent amount of zombies. Personally, I think it's not as good as the one in Cold War. The one in Cold War was so good because there was only a couple of spawns that the zombies came from, so you could just mow down like 150 or 200 within the time that it was actually there. but at least on Liberty Falls so far, you can really only maybe get to 70 or 80 of them, and it's still, don't get me wrong, that's still a lot of zombies, but not nearly as good as it was. The absolute best one though is the Mangler Mutation. It is so good, because even from the first second that you hit it, you have invincibility frames, and then you turn into a Mangler, and the best part about it is that you have infinite health during it, and you do a ton of damage to all the bosses. You're going to have like 10 to 15 Manglers on the map at any given time, and you just want to take them all out in one go. And the best way to do that is to turn into a Mangler yourself and then just mow them down. I think it takes 3 hits from your Mangler to take out the other Manglers from full health. It's also really good for the Abominations because those things have stupid amounts of health. I think it was like right before round 100, it would take 3 or 4 melees to actually take it out, maybe up to 5. When I got up to around 128, it was taking 9 or 10. I didn't actually count it, but it was a lot more than it was before. Those Abominations are going to be crazy if someone ever gets to like round 400 or 500. So yeah, the Mangler Mutation is absolutely top class, and the really funny thing on top of that is that usually when you use it, because you're killing other Manglers with it, you're going to actually have more Mangler Mutations drop on the ground, so when you leave one, you're going to have another one ready to go, and you can basically just chain them for almost an entire round. The one downside is that you need to actually be level 39 to unlock them at the crafting table, otherwise you kind of just need to find them on the ground, and I would say that they're somewhat-ish rare. You could probably kill like 100 to 150 zombies with them because they last a really long time, to be quite honest. They're definitely going to nerf this thing, but I'm enjoying it while it's here. But yeah, absolutely the best thing in the game. I'm actually level 42 after the end of this game, and I was able to use it for, I think, the last 30 or so rounds from the crafting table, which I probably would not have even gotten to round 100 if I wasn't able to use them. There is so many times where you're just going to get cornered, or there's going to be Manglers shooting all their cannons at you at the same time, and you're going to take enough damage to go down. It is just going to be a 100% certainty. Since if you guys don't know, this game is actually quite difficult, at least at the start before everybody gets all their augments and everything's upgraded. The base version of the game that everyone is playing on day 1 is quite difficult. It's already starting to get a little bit easier now that obviously we have the Mangler thing and we're starting to get augments, but as of right now, it's still kind of difficult. One actually super interesting thing is that rounds actually aren't really that long in these high rounds. I would say that on average, the rounds take maybe 3 to 4 minutes if I'm going between traps and using a little bit of the ray gun. Honestly, I kind of give up on even using it at some point and just going with pretty much only the traps because there just wasn't a point, and I felt like I was taking more damage trying to shoot the Manglers a little bit and do a bit of chip damage. But point being that rounds aren't really very long actually. The ones that are really long is actually the vermin rounds. For whatever reason, Treyarch decided that these things have to have like 8 or 9 minute rounds. There comes a point where you get in the game where they slowly increase the amount every time. I was using pretty much an entire ray gun to get through one of these vermin rounds. Now keep in mind, a fully upgraded ray gun has 240 shots, and I'm pretty much one-shotting them every single time. So that's give or take 200 of them, and they really only spawn in like one at a time. It takes legitimately 8 or 9 minutes to go through these rounds. It is really painful, and there's literally no way to speed it up other than maybe going to a slightly faster corner. That's really where most of your time goes, to be quite honest with you. And then the other times are like when you go down and you need to go grab your perks. I think I had 5 or 6 downs in my game. I didn't have a ton. There was a lot of games where I would have 4 downs by like, well, I say a lot of games, but my first 2 games, I think I had 4 downs probably by like around 60. So to only have 5 downs through 128 rounds, I think is pretty good, to be quite honest with you, especially like I said, for it being day 1. And I think most of the other people that got to round 100 also just died. They didn't quit their game. If you're also someone who's wanting to go for a high round on Liberty Falls or Black Ops 6 Zombies in general, there's actually a bit of a change to the self-revive system from something like Cold War. So you spawn in with a self-revive, and then at the crafting table, you're able to craft 3 more. So you're actually able to have a total of 4, and if you run out of them, you can actually find them on the ground in very rare loot drops. Through my whole 128 rounds of this game, I think I saw 3 or 4 of them, and on Liberty Falls specifically, if you go into the church, there's going to be a couple of crystals that regrow themselves every couple of rounds. So if you go in there and you actually shoot the crystals, there is a chance that you get a self-revive from it. I did get it when I was just testing it out and I didn't actually need it. And also keep in mind that those things actually do disappear if you leave them for a while, so make sure that if you're going to do this whole crystal thing, make sure that you do actually need one because you don't want to waste it when you get one. Other than that, I think this game took me maybe 8 hours of gameplay. It really started to slow down after, let's say, around 115. It was just kind of getting to be a slug. I was really hoping to get around 200, and like I said, I'm probably going to run this back at some point. I want to go for a terminus high round first, but I want to come back to Liberty Falls. Hopefully with some more augments, and it's going to make it a little bit easier because, oh man, it was just getting difficult. I appreciate Treyarch for actually continuing to make high rounds difficult and not just giving up at round 60 and saying, well, it's just going to be the same difficulty all the way up till round 1000. No, they kept pushing the envelope pretty much every 15 to 20 rounds. But I think I'm going to leave it here for now. If you guys did appreciate the video and you appreciate me going for the world record on this map and spending a goddamn whole lot of time on it, then I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe if you guys are new around here. If you want to watch some of the other Black Ops 6 videos, then they're probably coming up on the screen right now. I've got some pretty cool ones. So yeah, thank you for watching. I love you. Bye-bye.